Coming up on today's Cowboys Report, rumors on the potential George Pickens extension, Cowboys injury news, including when Overshown plans to be back, Trevon Diggs, Cooper Beebe, and a little practice squad movement once again for the Dallas Cowboys. It's Cowboys-Broncos this week. We are in a like battle against our Broncos channel. We are this close to doubling them up. Let's do it today. Like the video, especially if you want to take down the ponies in this matchup. Before we get into the rest of the previously recorded Cowboys Report today, this was not part of our live show, though if you watched our live show, I did comment about how I don't think Hendrickson's available. I think Logan Wilson probably could be. Well, I think he definitely is. Logan Wilson requested a trade from the Bengals per ESPN's Ben Beebe, the Bengals beat writer. Team captain, by the way, has been replaced and surpassed by younger linebackers currently on their depth chart. I do think the Cowboys could be a fit here. If you watched our ESPN trade candidate video, they mentioned Logan Wilson for the Cowboys. I think it makes some sense. Now, the money's noteworthy. He's owed the prorated figure of the $5.67 million left on his contract for this year. It's not quite 50%, depending on which day you do it. That's just the easy math. So we'll call it 2.5 is what you would owe Logan Wilson if you went out and traded for him. He's under contract next year at $6.5 million, $7.22, non-guaranteed figures in those remaining years. Wilson has been a long-time staple, relatively speaking, for the Cincinnati Bengals coming out of Wyoming. I think he's been pretty good in coverage. I still distinctly remember I thought he got jobbed on the PI call against the Rams. That was not PI. They're just like, there's no way Logan Wilson can hang with this caliber of Rams receiver, whatever. But he's fallen out of favor in Cincinnati. They're going with younger guys, Demetrius Bell, Barrett Carter. He did make a very good play in coverage against the Steelers, though, which did kind of stand out to me as a notable one. But he's clearly not as regarded as he used to be in Cincinnati. I actually don't mind the Cowboys going out and trying to add Logan Wilson. He's relatively cheap. You potentially have him under team control next year. I do think there is the risk. The Bengals are right that he's on the decline. He's not the same player he was at his best, and maybe you're not getting the best version of him. I don't think he's been that bad in Cincinnati. I don't think he's been the issue with that Bengals defense necessarily either. I think the cost would be a day 3 picks, a late day 3 pick, somewhere in that ballpark. I do think this is actually a decent name for the Cowboys to consider as a trade target, especially with the ESPN report now that he has requested a trade out of Cincinnati. So would you pursue Logan Wilson? Then we'll get back to the rest of the previously recorded video on the stuff we mentioned earlier. A for yes, B for no. Let's go to the George Pickens extension status. ESPN reporting the Cowboys have kind of begun to plan out a possible George Pickens extension. Here's what ESPN's Dan Graziano reported yesterday on one of his insider articles. The Cowboys have had internal discussions about a possible extension for receiver George Pickens to the point where they've been examining the rosters and cap situations of teams like the Bengals and Dolphins and Eagles, who are all paying multiple high-end receivers. I don't think anything gets done on this until after the season, but Dallas has been happy with Pickens since acquiring him in an offseason trade with Pittsburgh and is at least considering what it would look like to keep Dak Prescott's wide receiver tandem together. It would be weird if the Cowboys weren't trying to figure out how they would make it work with George Pickens. It would also be weird if they hadn't considered how to make that happen in the first place when they traded for him. It is, by the way, completely possible to be able to retain George Pickens and still make your defense better. They are still able to go out and add talent because they have extra draft picks. And, as we'll get into on today's show, they got ways to create cap space. A Dak Prescott restructure will save them $30.9 million. CeeDee Lamb, 19 restructure. Osa's 12. Tyler Smith is 17 plus. DaRon Bland is nearly 9. Jake Ferguson is nearly 5. You can cut Terrence Steele and save $8 or $14 million. You'll cut Trevon Diggs and save $12.5. Either cut or extend or restructure Kenny Clark can save you a pretty wide amount of range of money there because he's only got a year left on his deal. Cut Malik Hooker, save you $7 million. Yeah, you then have holes at right tackle and maybe you need a corner and a safety again, and we'll see about defensive tackle. But you got a projected 2.8 right now on Spotrac. You do all that different stuff, you're well beyond $125 million in salary cap space. George Pickens is not going to cost you $125 million in salary cap space. That's not how it works. You have the funds available to pay Pickens and build out the rest of the roster better as long as you hit on your draft picks. You don't hit on your draft picks, that's how you end up being, frankly, what the Bengals and Dolphins have been, where they've missed on too many picks. So do you want to pay George Pickens? Y for yes, N for no? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Look, if George Pickens continues to play the way he has been playing, there's really no justification for at least not tagging him. That should be the minimum you do this offseason. And the correct move would be to pay him, by the way. It's going to be expensive. I don't think you're going to get George Pickens on anything resembling a discount. This is going to be his first year getting a chance to get paid. He is rep by Athletes First and David Mulgeta, and those guys don't take discounts. But that's a champagne problem for you in the end, where, oh no, I have to pay my awesome receiver and keep my, maybe it's not Batman Robin, maybe it's Batman Superman combination together. And you don't let the really good players leave and walk away because that'd be kind of a weird path. I think at minimum, Pickens has already surpassed the $30 million per year projection on the contract. And it could easily grow a little bit higher and continue to uptick there. That wouldn't be shocking to me. The Cowboys have the franchise tag as an option, and this projection is kind of like the minimum it would take in light of the franchise tag. So do the right thing for your team, Jerry. Don't play the who's the agent's name game. Just go about your business and get it done before the start of the combine. Get it done around the combine. Get it done before the start of the new league year so you maximize your cap space to which you can play with. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. It is the only app that offers stacks, so you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Hey, maybe you want to go Kevontae Turpin more than receiving and rushing yards if it's available. Or maybe you want to go Dak Prescott more than passing yards and passing TDs. That's one of the Prize Picks options on this lineup. Doing the flex play, you can get one wrong, still cash out. It's more than on Lamb and Sutton receiving yards. Mentioned Dak TDs and Javonte in the revenge game, more than 15.5 rush attempts. So if you haven't already, go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play the first $5 lineup. Let's talk injuries now. Cooper Beebe is not ruling out a return this week as he recovers from an ankle injury. In fact, I think the Cowboys' goal is to get him back this week, which would require another roster move to get him onto the 53. Maybe someone like maybe someone like a Johnny Cornelius ends up going on IR. Beebe said, I'm feeling pretty good after Wednesday's practice. Obviously, working through some aches and stuff, getting back in the groove. Realistically, based on how I feel Thursday, we'll see if I can go this week. If not, for sure, next week. I think the return of Beebe would be a significant boost for the Cowboys up front. Not that Brock Hoffman's been bad, but I do think Beebe is just a better player overall. And I think there's been some, honestly, probably tougher matchups for Beebe to begin the season than what it's been for Brock Hoffman. I thought Hoffman has had easy ones. Derek Brown, for example, is a tough one as all get out. Hoffman is, I like him a lot. He continuously does his job as a backup offensive lineman. I love me some Captain Insano, but he's like the ideal 6th lineman, and Beebe is a better starter, and I hope it happens this week. We'll see what happens throughout the week of practice, but Cowboys at least keeping that door open. For more Cowboys YouTube videos, including live shows here on the Cowboys Report and watch parties, hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Let's go to DeMarvion Overshown. He is working his way back and is very much hyping himself up for his impending return. He said his goal for the first game back, and this has been the plan, is the Raiders game. Monday night, primetime, 0 will be making its debut. I'm excited for it. It's not going to be anything short of extraordinary. I am ready to truly show how blessed I am. How do you not love Overshown's attitude? Like everything about him, and I'm a sucker for the linebackers. Like I always loved Sean Lee. Jalen Smith was fun until he really kind of fell off. Overshown has kind of become that guy where it's just like he's always around the football. His instincts are good. He's athletic as all get out. I hope he's back and healthy. I am going to keep cautioning, like, hey, you have to be patient and like not expect him to instantly be back as good as he was. Overshown's not, though. He said a lot of people claim that this knee injury is one of the worst, and not too many people come back the same afterward. I am ready to put that to the test. I'm stronger, and we got the numbers to prove it. Stronger, faster, I jump higher, I'm more explosive. I mean, you name it. I'm all of it. I mean, I hope so. I'm ready to run through a wall for that guy. I do expect when he's back the first couple games, you saw it with Kevontae Turpin and Deron Bland, they will probably limit him a little bit. Like, I don't think he's going to play 100% of snaps in his first game back. 50% might be a bit more likely. But I do think that he's going to be back against the Raiders. That's a bad team. Maybe he gets some big-time splash plays. So what is your excitement level for DeMarvion Overshown's return? Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comments section of today's show. On the flip side is Trevon Diggs. Diggs remains in concussion protocol. His return looking less likely for Week 8. In most cases, the rough, even like return to practice you end up seeing for a lot of these players is closer to like 10 days. That's what it was kind of more for Jack Sanborn, where he missed an entire week and then was back on Wednesday. That still wouldn't put Diggs' recovery until like Sunday or Monday. So I wouldn't be shocked if Diggs does not go. I don't know if we are ever going to be able to figure out what exactly happened to Trevon Diggs. The fact that it hasn't leaked, kind of makes me suspicious that it was not a fun or good story for Diggs. Whether it was embarrassing or something worse or whatever, like the fact that it never came out indicates that the agent and his camp and the player didn't want it out there. So it probably wasn't the greatest for Diggs in the end. I don't know if we'll ever find out what happened. I don't think there's any grand conspiracy of a trade. The Cowboys are mad at Diggs, don't get me wrong on that front. But, you don't normally invent an injury to trade somebody. That's not how it normally works, although I do think there is frustration. There has been for a long time now, front office and player-wise. One player is back, Zion Childress, making his return to the Dallas Cowboys. He had recently been waived by the Houston Texans, cleared waivers, and he came right on back to Dallas on the practice squad, which is kind of funny. The last three players that got away that we were all upset, mad about, etc., for losing on waiver claims at rush cutdown time, Isaiah Land, the edge, Zion Childress, the corner, Julius Wood, the safety, they're all back in Dallas now. Land and Childress and Wood are all on the Cowboys practice squad. So funny how, they don't often get away, and in these three cases at least, they ended up finding their way back to the Cowboys.